Well, good afternoon, everybody. We are tracking some summertime thunderstorms here this afternoon, and they're pretty widespread. And by summertime thunderstorms, I mean they're different than what we see in the spring. Springtime thunderstorms, of course, those are organized and they produce a lot of hail and produce a lot of a lot of severe weather, tornadoes, that kind of stuff. Well, summertime thunderstorms are different. They pop up, they're slow movers, and they produce, in my opinion, the most dangerous aspect are the dangerous lightning strikes that are associated with them. A lot of cloud to ground lightning strikes, they pop up, and then as they begin to weaken and collapse, they produce areas of gusty winds, and sometimes you can see isolated, localized areas of damaging winds with these microbursts. We see those this time of the year. Probably not like what we saw a few years ago. That was a completely different type of scenario. This afternoon, we're looking at these thunderstorms, and they're pretty widespread. And since they're moving so slow, we could even see some flooding. So let's take a look at them real fast and see what's going on with all these thunderstorms here today. And give me just a second so I can make everything bigger so you can see it here. So give me just a second to hit play on my computer. All right, so you're about to see the radar. There it is, and hearing some downpours here at the station, and we have a really good solid line, or band rather, of scattered thunderstorms here that stretch from, well, basically from over here along I-35, over there near Ardmore and Sulphur, all the way to the southwest, down to the southwest to Seymour and back, well back to the west-southwest here. So it's a whole boundary, like right in this area where those storms have popped up. And these, again, are producing some good loud claps of thunder, a lot of dangerous lightning strikes here with them. And, like I say, since they're not moving very fast, they're producing a lot of very heavy rain. So are these anything you really need to be too concerned about? Absolutely not. But, I would advise people that are, that work outside or have plans to be outdoors to remain indoors until these things pass by. The rule of thumb is if you're close enough to hear the thunder, you're close enough to be struck by lightning. Sometimes these things can produce lightning strikes 10 miles or so away from where the rain is actually falling. So, I mean, that's something you have to be concerned about. But we put this in motion. You can see they're just kind of drifting a bit here and producing these heavy downpours. Oh, maybe some periodic bouts of some pea-sized hail, but nothing too major here at this time. So if we kind of look into it, I'm going to look everybody before I jump off. I'm not going to be on super long here, but here in Wichita Falls, right over the city, you can see those lightning strikes and those heavy downpours covering a good part of the city here. And again, where these storms are popping up, they're not moving very fast. So you're seeing some ponding on roadways, and those rainfall amounts are going to add up quickly with these heavy downpours. So some flooding, minor flooding, could be possible in some of these drainage ditches and in those spots and those places that normally flood in heavier rain. Now you jump down to the Southwest Parkway, and you do not see the storms quite as heavy there. Again, they're kind of hit and miss. Looks like we do have one right along, maybe pretty close to Highway 79, 1954 down to that area, coming up on Lake Wichita, Lakeside City. There could be maybe some downpours down that way. You see some storms also extending to the south, down into Archer County, and these would be basically along 281, north of Scotland, north of Windthorst here. You jump over into Clay County, and there's storms that are all following over here. They're from about the Kickapoo Airport, from the Wichita Municipal Airport, Shepherd Air Force Base, over towards Dean and just kind of north of Jolly and kind of into Petrolia, kind of up towards Charlie, Thornberry area. Then you go over to the east. There's some storms on either side of Henrietta, developing just north and east of Lake Arrowhead, and that kind of extends up into Cotton and Jefferson County, southern Stevens County. There's some thunderstorms over that way. And again, each of these have dangerous lightning strikes, heavy downpours, may result in some flooding, maybe a little pea-sized hail here or there, and maybe some gusty winds popping up periodically with some of these here. Now we go back to the west, and there are some little isolated thunderstorms, a pretty strong thunderstorm at that, just north of Cadane Corner, just south of Electra, and it's kind of drifting off to the northeast a little bit. You can see that little outflow boundary that's being produced by that one storm moving through Electra now, and that could build in. It could be some thunderstorms building into Electra. Not a whole lot going on in Burke or Iowa Park at the moment. But then you jump down to the south and over Lake Kickapoo, there's some thunderstorms north of Archer City. And then there's some pretty widespread storms over into Baylor County with heavy rainfall around Seymour and points east and west here. So it looks like the best chances for storms will be within this band here for at least the time being here. And within that band, again, we're going to kind of draw it roughly into this area. So that's where your best rain chances are being seen for the time being. Now, these storms, where you see them now, will eventually kind of rain themselves out. And again, this is not like the springtime where they're going to be tracking and moving a bunch. They just kind of slowly develop and just kind of rain themselves out, only to redevelop in other spots. And we may see some stuff develop up here into northwest Texas, southwest Oklahoma here over the next couple of hours, maybe Vernon up towards Lawton, maybe. And then you could also see some storm develop on the south side of this too, perhaps down towards Archer City and kind of south of Henrietta in those areas, as these storms produce these outflow boundaries and see it interact with some of these hot or humid this hot and humid air mass that we have in place across the area this afternoon. So there could be some isolated thunderstorms that might develop outside of this band, but at least for right now, that is what I am looking at. So nothing to be overly concerned with, but you do periodically see these bursts of wind. That's what we call downbursts here, and you can see it. There's one right there south of Electra. So some pretty strong winds being produced by that storm. This is a downburst too, or you can call them a microburst if you want to. Between Electra and Cadane Corner, you can see that green, how that green is kind of surging up here towards the radar. That's what the green represents. And there's your reds going away. So that's a diverging signature. That's a classic microburst signature. So some pretty strong wind gusts, 40 to 50 in that area between Electra and Cadane Corner. Some of those gusty winds could spread into Electra, or maybe moving into that area now. We look across the rest of the area, and that's really the only spot that really stands out as far as any microbursts are concerned here. There might be some gusty winds with some of those storms over into Jefferson and Cotton counties, and with any of these outflow boundaries that come through, they're going to produce some gusty winds here. So that is all I have for right now. We'll be watching these. Again, your main concern this afternoon, gusty winds, maybe some isolated wind damage here or there. And dangerous lightning strikes and heavy downpours. And once again, I'm keeping an eye on the situation, but nothing to be overly concerned with here at the moment. All right, everybody, have a great